Hello guys and welcome. Today we're going to be taking a look at something I literally just picked up. I can't actually believe it, but someone actually threw out a 27-inch Apple iMac. It's definitely a little dirty, but I reckon we should see whether it works. So let's go power it on. All right, so I've got it all set up. I think it's time to plug it in and see whether it actually works. So this is actually the first time I'm powering this unit up, and I kind of hope it works. I'm not exactly sure why they threw it out, but I think it's time to find out. I felt something. Okay, I've got a white screen. Apple logo? Oh my God. This might actually work. Oh my God, I literally just pulled out my camera and I'm like, I have to film this. So production quality doesn't matter, there's lights in the background. All right, so it seems to be loading. I didn't hear a boot chime, but that might be because the sound's muted. So as far as I can tell, I did a quick look looking up the EMC and the model number. So this is a 2011 model, 27-inch i5 model with a Sandy Bridge 2500 quad-core i5 CPU. And I'm just wondering if it's been upgraded or if it's stock. I mean, I'm pretty excited, whether you can tell or not. So let's just see whether it actually boots up. All right, so we've waited about 20 minutes and it seems to be stuck on this screen. But I have another ace up my sleeve. I think let's try loading a fresh copy of macOS onto it and see if it works.
A few minutes later, it was ready. I opened the disk utility, which actually saw the hard disk. I erased and formatted the drive, which actually took a lot longer than normal. After many attempts at a fresh install, it became clear that the hard disk needed replacing. Before I take this Mac apart, I thought it was a good time to clean off a lot of the dust and grime that coated the surface. Thankfully, most of the permanent marker and smudges on the display came off without any hassle. Some lens cleaner, combined with a damp cloth, got the glass looking a whole lot better. A microfiber cloth was also used to remove smudges from the display. When I found this iMac, it was face down on a sheet of metal, which likely chipped the edges of the glass panel. The back of the machine also needed a good cleaning. A damp cloth, combined with some eucalyptus oil, made it fairly easy. I'll do a more complete clean when I have the iMac fully functional. To save the iMac and the table from scratches, I placed the iMac screen up on a towel. The glass, only held on with magnets, can be easily lifted up and removed by hand. However, it is recommended that you use small suction cups and not bend the glass if possible. 4 Torx screws on either side of the display hold it in place. Before taking the display panel out of the iMac, there are 4 separate connectors attached inside that need to be unplugged. Once removed, we get our first look at the inside of this iMac. One thing it's going to need is a good dusting. To remove the old mechanical hard disk, I unplugged the power and SATA cables, followed by the 2 Torx screws holding the drive in place. It looks as if bugs were also inhabiting this computer. To remove the bugs and many years worth of dust, I sprayed it with high pressure air. I thought the dramatic lighting would help show the massive amounts of dust flying out of the vents, but it kinda didn't. But trust me, there was a lot of dust. The hard disk was a 1TB 7200 RPM Seagate Barracuda. I'll be swapping it out for a 3TB Seagate Barracuda that I had lying around not being used. While this is not as fast as a solid state drive, it'll save me needing to buy a 3.5-inch to 2.5-inch drive bracket as well as a hard disk temperature sensor. You can see that internally, the machine looks a whole lot nicer now. With the SATA and power connectors attached, I carefully slotted the display back in place. I made sure to reattach all of the connectors to the power supply and logic board. The screws holding the display in place were a little tricky to put back in. With the display panel securely back in the chassis, I gave the exposed surface a dust with an air blower to ensure that it was spotless. The glass panel slotted back in place easily. If only the current model iMac's internal components were this easily accessible. Something that is easily accessible is the RAM. Underneath this panel, held in place by 3 Phillips head screws, are 4 DDR3 RAM DIMMs. Only one of the 2 2GB sticks arrived before I had time to finish this video, so I'll put it in, bringing the system up to a total of 6GB. Sadly, I couldn't get the glass to be perfectly clean on the outside. This was likely due to years of use. Overall, it's definitely a lot cleaner than it was to start with. So, time to see whether installing the new hard drive was worth the effort. I booted into the install USB. This time I tried using a macOS 10.12 Sierra install that I forgot I had. Once loaded, the 3TB hard drive did indeed show up. I formatted the drive and began the installation. Once I returned, macOS Sierra had successfully installed. I went through the initial setup and everything was fine. For some reason there was a random audio CD in the drive. So we can finally get a look at the specifications. Turns out this Mac has a higher spec 3.1 GHz Core i5 2400 quad-core CPU, as well as an AMD Radeon HD 6970M with 1GB of dedicated GDDR5 video memory. One of the best aspects of this iMac has to be the big, bright, 27-inch 2560 by 1440 IPS display. This is a great looking display. Even by today's standards, this iMac is still not a bad option for Photoshop and light video work. How well does it run games though? In Minecraft, with the render distance set to 12, the experience was excellent. Running Team Fortress 2 at 1440p high settings is also great. Those aren't very demanding titles though, but nonetheless this iMac can handle them with ease. I'll be sure to try video editing on this machine and a whole lot more in a later video. This machine also includes an SD card reader, Firewire 800, audio in and out, as well as gigabit Ethernet. So there we have it, a 27-inch Apple iMac rescued from the trash. I'm very glad all it needed was a new hard disk. While it does have a few cosmetic flaws, it definitely has a lot of life left in it. For an Apple desktop that is nearly 8 years old, it is still very usable. And that design, in my opinion, is elegant even till this day. Thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, feel free to leave a like, and if you want to see more, definitely consider subscribing. I'll see you next Saturday with another video.